López Obrador aims to end foreign fuel imports within his first 3 years. The man in charge of the UK's exit from the EU has dramatically quit. Nissan admits emissions and fuel economy tests were falsified, and construction of a new bullet trade from Cancun to Chiapas will begin next year. Hello and welcome to today's edition of Mexico News Network's Breaking News Business. I'm Elliot Bullman. Let's go to the information. Mexican President-elect Andrés Manuel López Obrador will seek to end the country's massive fuel imports, nearly all from the United States, during the first 3 years of his term, while also boosting refining at home. The landslide winner of Mexico's election told reporters on Saturday morning, before attending private meetings with members of his future cabinet, that he will also prioritize growing crude oil production domestically, which has fallen sharply for years. On the campaign trail, the leftist former mayor of Mexico City pitched his plan to wean the country off foreign gasoline as a means to increasing domestic production of crude and value-added fuels, not as a trade issue with the United States. López Obrador also reiterated on Saturday his goal to build either one large or two medium-sized oil refineries during his term, which begins on December 1st. The 6 oil refineries in Mexico, owned and operated by Pemex, are producing at far below their capacity, or on average of 220,000 barrels per day of gasoline so far this year. Gasoline production at the facilities is down 50% compared to 2013, and domestic gasoline output only accounts for slightly more than a quarter of national demand from the country's legions of motorists. In other news, UK Brexit Secretary David Davis dramatically resigned from Theresa May's government on Sunday night in protest against the Prime Minister's approach to negotiations with the European Union and shift towards a softer Brexit. Davis, who has been leading negotiations for the United Kingdom, said in a letter to May that the current trend of policy and tactics meant it was looking less and less likely that the UK would leave the single market and customs union. Speaking to the BBC's Today programme on Monday morning, David Davis declared he couldn't support the deal drawn up by May to unite her divided cabinet, saying it involved too close a relationship with the EU and gave only an illusion of control being returned to the UK after Brexit. Dominic Raab, a junior minister for housing policy, will replace Davis as Brexit secretary, Downing Street announced on Monday. Raab is an ardent supporter of Brexit, and under May's proposal, the UK would stay wedded to the European Union standards for the trade in goods and collect EU tariffs on the bloc's behalf in order to preserve frictionless trade and the open Irish border. However, it would make new free trade deals with certain countries like the USA much less likely and would leave the UK under some influence of the European Court of Justice. Multiple major British businesses have warned May she needs to secure a Brexit deal or face potentially ruinous consequences for the UK economy. The latest British Brexit debacle comes as May is preparing for a state visit by US President Donald Trump later this week and faces a potential new international crisis after a British citizen died as a result of being exposed to Novichok, the same nerve agent used to poison former Russian spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter. In other headlines, Nissan's shares fell more than 4.5% on Monday after the company admitted that it's uncovered falsified data from car exhaust emission tests at most of its Japanese factories. Last year, Nissan recalled 1.2 million vehicles in Japan after regulators said safety checks did not meet domestic requirements. A subsequent investigation into why its safety inspections did not meet government standards has now led to the latest revelations. The firm did not disclose how many cars were involved, but said emissions and fuel economy tests had deviated from the prescribed testing environment, and the car maker added that inspection reports had been based on altered measurement values. It doesn't sound as bad as what happened at Volkswagen, but it's still very shocking. This was going on at all of Nissan's factories in Japan bar one, so that means it's hardly a one-off accident or down to a few rotten apples. The company said it had rechecked reliable data and confirmed that all vehicles except the GTR sports car conformed to Japanese safety standards. But it didn't explain why the GTR had been excluded. Moving on. The newly elected senator for Quintana Roo has formally announced the construction of a 100 billion peso Cancun to Palenque passenger train. Jose Luis Pech Vargas said the 100 billion peso Cancun Palenque passenger train intended to boost tourism in the south and encourage cultural tourism in the archaeological signs of Campeche and Chiapas. It will take 6 years to build, and Fonatur, the National Tourism Fund, will be in charge of the project, the Morena senator said. The project had already been put forward by Morena party leader Andrés Manuel López Obrador during his campaign trail. The proposed route will run from Cancun through Tulum, Carrillo Puerto, and Bacalar in Quintana Roo, and Calakmul in Campeche to Palenque, Chiapas. The first stage, Pech Vargas said, would be Cancun to Tulum during a 2-year project. Mexico's government, the private sector, and communal landowners will participate as partners in the rail line, he explained. The project has been called a bullet train and would travel at an average speed of 130 kilometers an hour. And finally, let's check the markets. The Mexican peso decreased 0.53% from 19.21 in the previous trading session. On the other hand, the IPC Mexico increased 0.52% to 49,236 from 48,981 in the previous trading session. This was all for today. Thank you for your company. I'm Elliot Bullman. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and log on to MexicoNewsNetwork.com for more information on Mexico and the world. Until next time.
Síguenos en nuestras redes sociales: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, solo por México News Network Televisión.